Ruth Stewart-Verger, a friend of Tales Alberta for 4 decades, so I send warm congratulations for 40 years of sharing stories. I've become familiar with Tales as a listener, as a teller, and as a workshop provider. I'm telling a story that is in memory of my brother. My family lived in Alberta for a number of years while I was a child, and family still live there. My brother returned to Alberta to become a paramedic in Edmonton. This story shares the mischievous side of his gentle, adventurous personality. In memory of my brother, no pizza. Nelson dreamed of pizza. He dreamed of golden crust and thick, tangy tomato sauce and cheese melted on top. The kind of cheese that stretches out when you bite off a piece of pizza. He said, "Mother, can we have pizza tonight?" And Mother said, "No pizza." Nelson said, "Mother, you're making bread. Could I have a little bit of that bread dough? I'll stretch it out on a tray to make pizza crust." Mother said, "No pizza." Nelson said, "Mother, you're making tomato sauce. Could I have a little bit of those tomatoes and a little bit of onions, some basil?" Mother looked down at Nelson and said, "No pizza." Nelson said, "If we have pizza, we children won't even fight about who gets to do the dishes, because there are no dishes. You can eat pizza with your hands." Mother said, "No pizza." "But no fighting," said Nelson. Mother rolled her eyes and said, "I can imagine you children, your fingers dripping in tomato sauce and cheese. No pizza." Nelson didn't understand no. He spent a lot of time scheming around no's, dancing around no's. He came up with a plan. Nelson came up with a lot of plans, and truth be told, most of them ended in disaster, or something pretty close to disaster. But even so, every single time we children followed along his plans right to the disaster. Nelson told us that Mother and Father had a gathering once a month. Once a month, the adults would come with their casseroles and salads, and they would go out to the backyard to eat. We children were always as far away from those adults as we could get. They wouldn't even notice if we went into the kitchen and we made pizza. He acknowledged there wouldn't be time to do it from scratch, so we'd have to get frozen pizza, and that meant that we would all have to give him some of our allowance. On the day of the gathering, everything went exactly as Nelson planned. He had his pocket full of our allowance. He offered to take Dog for a walk. He offered to take me, too. We walked the dog down to the grocery store. Nelson went inside while I stayed out with Dog. Nelson bought the biggest box of frozen pizza he could with the money from our allowance. And then we had to walk the long way home so that no one would see us with that big box of pizza. And I went in to distract everyone while Nelson snuck into the kitchen and hid that frozen pizza in the back of the freezer. Then, when the adults got there, they took their casseroles and their salads out to the back deck. The adults sat down to read, and we children followed Nelson. We went into the kitchen. Nelson pulled a chair over to the fridge. He climbed up and reached into the back of the freezer, and from there He grabbed down that frozen pizza box. He put the frozen box onto the counter, and we all went over to it to see what the instructions were. Step 1, preheat the oven. Step 2, take the pizza out of the box. Step 3, take the plastic off the pizza. Well, the first 2 had been easy sneezy, but that took a little more time. Nelson got the plastic into the garbage. Step 4, remove the cardboard base from the pizza. Well, that took a little bit of prying for Nelson to get the cardboard off the bottom of the pizza. He put that into the compost. Step 5, place pizza directly onto the rack. Directly on the rack, we asked. Yeah, said Nelson. Not even any dishes for the baking of the pizza. We all cheered quietly. And then we put the pizza directly onto the rack, closed the oven door of that preheated oven, and read Step 5. Set timer for 18 minutes. Timer? We didn't have a timer. We had a wall clock. We all looked at the wall clock and calculated exactly 18 minutes. We looked at the clock, the number where the 18 minutes ended, and we watched, waited. We could smell that tomato sauce bubbling. We could smell the cheese melting. It was wonderful. We could smell something scorching, as if something was burning. We checked the box. It was 18 minutes, not 8. Nelson dragged the chair over to the oven. He climbed up, turned the oven light on, and pulled the chair out of the way. We looked into that oven window. There was no pizza on the rack. Where we had watched Nelson place the pizza, there was now just one blob of cheese. We looked at Dog. Dog's muzzle was not tomato sauce and cheese covered. We looked at each other. But there was burning from in the oven. We could see smoke coming from the bottom of the oven. And Nelson said, tea towels. We knew exactly what he meant because burnt toast every morning set the fire alarm off. We got those tea towels and we were flapping them towards that fire alarm, but it was too late. It went off. The smoke detector blared and the kitchen flooded with adults. Mother was across the kitchen in 2 steps. She flicked on the fan, she flicked off the oven, and she turned to Nelson. What are you doing? Nelson looked up. Baking pizza? Mother looked at Nelson. She pulled the oven door down. The smoke wafted up and out through the vent. We all looked at the bottom of that oven. It was covered in black tomato sauce and burnt cheese. Mother said, with no crust? Where's your crust? That's when Dog pulled his head out of the compost, his muzzle now covered in thawed pizza dough. Ooey, gooey, sticky pizza dough. The cardboard that we had put into the compost had not been cardboard. It had been frozen pizza dough. Mother looked at Nelson. She said, no pizza. And that's true. There was no pizza that day.